Hello and welcome to Smaulgld's update on Kazakhstan's gold reserves for the month of October 2018. Kazakhstan adds a record amount of gold to reserves in October, bringing their total gold reserves to 341 tons. They did this by adding 200,000 ounces, or about 6.22 tons of gold in October. Now with 341.2 tons, that puts them ahead of even Saudi Arabia's 322.9 tons. As to Kazakhstan's balance sheet, they now have 46% of their overall reserves in gold. And in 2016, they had added 36 tons. 2017, 40 tons, are on pace to add much more than that in 2018. So Kazakhstan is now in 13th place, ahead of Saudi Arabia, ahead of United Kingdom as well. United Kingdom once had a lot of gold, but former Prime Minister Brown, then I think it was Chancellor of the Exchequer back in early 2000s, he sold a lot of England's gold, or the United Kingdom's gold. It's called Brown's bottom because he sold it at the bottom of the market. And now the United Kingdom only holds 310 tons compared to the 341.2 tons that the National Bank of Kazakhstan owns. And it's quite remarkable because supposedly the United Kingdom and the City of London are the center of finance, and the United Kingdom has a GDP of 2.5 trillion, and Kazakhstan has one of just 160 billion, and their gold is worth 13.357 billion. So it's quite a large amount of gold for a country with a small number of people relatively, and certainly a smallish economy. And Kazakhstan is really one of the only banks, other than the Central Bank of Russia, that has been adding gold in recent years. We've seen movement in recent years, Turkey buying and selling. They haven't bought or sold in months. People's Bank of China was adding for a while. They've stopped adding. That doesn't mean there's not gold going into China. It just means the People's Bank of China, the Central Bank of China, isn't adding gold at the moment. We've seen some monthly purchases here and there from the central banks of Poland and Hungary, and more recently a couple of purchases out of India. But it is the Central Bank of Kazakhstan that has been consistent. 73 months in a row, over 5 years, almost 6 years worth of gold buying, or actually is 6 years of gold buying from the Central Bank of Kazakhstan. And there you can see I've just tracked it since 2015, but that number has gone from 198 tons all the way up to 341 tons. Now, why does the Central Bank of Kazakhstan buy gold? Well, mostly because it can. Two reasons. It has a very weak currency. The Kazakh, I'm told, is called the tenge, or tenge. I used to call it the tenge, T-E-N-G-E. But in any event, they have a growing gold domestic mining and enterprise, and they've effectively been swapping their tenge, or their tenge, into gold. And you can see here the increase in their gold mining production was only about 20 tons in 2000, and now it's up to about 70, 80 tons. And they've made a significant investment in that. And rather than selling it on the open market to foreigners, it looks like they're keeping, just like Russia is doing as well, upwards of 75% of that gold in the country and just pushing it into their central bank. Makes sense. It's as good as gold, so to speak. It's better than their local currency, and it makes total sense for them to convert that into their central bank. And here you can see the price of gold in Kazakhstan tenge, and you have, over the last 2 years, you can see it's tripled, or doubled, 2.5 times almost. It's gone from about 180,000 all the way up to 450,000 tons for a tenge, for a ounce of gold. So clearly all the gold they bought back in the early part, if they had turned that into, or just kept it on their reserves in their local currency, well, they'd be out big time versus gold and versus the dollar. And they're probably better off having bought it instead of holding dollars, worrying about the counterparty risk. So Kazakhstan definitely has a sound balance sheet if they don't have a sound currency. And as we mentioned, overall they're total foreign reserves are only about 30 billion. Not even under 30 billion, but yet they have 13.357 billion in gold. And compare that to the Central Bank of Russia. They're at about 18%, which is good. But again, Russia has a lot of dollars, a lot of other currencies, and other securities, whereas they don't have the same percentage of gold that Kazakhstan has. Here are the gold reserves by central bank. This isn't country's gold. This is what, now the United States isn't, the gold isn't held at the central bank, it's held by the Treasury, but that's 81.33 tons. And then you could see where Kazakhstan sits all the way down here at number 13. But you can see they're quickly catching up to Portugal. And at some point, you know, they will crack the top 10 in a couple of years. They continue with this pace, and there's no reason why they wouldn't. And here's a closer shot of the top 11 to 20, where you see number 11, 12, and 13. ECB is not a central bank. It's not a country central bank. And so Kazakhstan, next stop is Portugal, and then Taiwan. And then after that, they start knocking on the door of the top 10. So probably in 2 years' time, they will be in the top 10 at this pace. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. Please make sure you join me each and every night around 7:30, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on the Smaulgld channel for a live stream. Also, please consider buying your precious metals through the Smaulgld site. You can compare pricing and shipping at Golden Eagle Coin, SD Bullion, and Money Metals Exchange. And I do get a small commission on that, so it does help the site out. And you pay no more, no less than if you visited those sites directly. Also, please consider becoming a Smaulgld patron or making a one-time donation through PayPal, Bitcoin, or Litecoin, or even Ethereum. Thank you very much, and we will see you this evening.